Welcome to another episode 12 of NFT World Legendary. How are you doing?
Good morning. I was a bit stressed because I wasn't sure if you're going to ask me what episode it is today, and I wasn't sure if it's 12 or 13 already. I'm doing good. Quite a busy weekend, quite a busy week. Getting ready to go to Trevor Jones's castle party later this week, and then going to the West Coast after that. So quite a lot of stuff to plan and prepare for.
A lot of stuff moving forward. That stuff's really cool. This week has been super busy also. But yeah, so what exactly are you doing? You're going to the castle party, but you're not just going to the castle party, you're also going to the castle pre-party.
No, there's like a pre-party, and then there's like a pre-party, which Trevor Jones apparently raffled out to like 4 or 5 individuals that could meet him for, champagne and snacks at his studio, like before the actual pre-party starts. And I was one of the lucky winners, so I'm like pretty excited to get to meet Trevor Jones, like get a tour of his studio. And also it seems like the majority of the other people who won that, like Basileus, for example, I at least know like from, chatting on Twitter. So it's going to be cool to not only meet him, but a couple of other people whom I've been familiar in the space, but haven't met in person yet.
Yeah, that's pretty lucky. How did you, what was the raffle? Or you don't know?
So I honestly, and I hope that Trevor doesn't hear that, I wasn't aware that there's going to be a raffle for a pre-party, and I almost missed it. But my girlfriend, she was like, yeah, because she's also coming. She's a Bitcoin angel holder as well. Actually, she has more Bitcoin angels than me, so that says a lot. And she was like, yeah, check your mails to see like if there's any update from the castle party, if we missed something. And indeed, we missed. I missed the announcement at first that I was one of the winners of a raffle that I wasn't aware of that it's even happening. But I was even happier to find out that I wasn't too late. And I reached out to Trevor on Twitter and was like, did you send this? Is this legit? Is this someone trying to scam me? And he was like, no, you're good. You really won. It is legit. There is a get together. Nothing to worry about.
God. Yeah, I think it really shows two things, right? Like one, it's so hard to keep on top of even your own things in this space that you get this amazing opportunity and you've literally got no idea what the hell's going on. And then second,
Yeah.
even when someone does try to reward you, our instinct is always like, is someone trying to scam me here?
Yeah, what's the long con?
Yeah, exactly. How am I being socially engineered by this pseudo Trevor Jones character? It's
especially after I had someone try to, prepare a social engineered hack against my person. I got so much more paranoid. Like, but it's kind of sad because like when you get good news, like the first instinct is not to be happy about it and like question it, doubt it, and be like, is this legit? What's the scam? And then you have like this delayed emotional response when you find out, yup, it's legit, and realize, oh shit, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, you have to delay the gratification for ages, don't you? You can't simply respond happily to a happy piece of news.
You can't simply be happy, right? Yeah, it's not going to work in that space.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to hear next week how that was. And then obviously you're in the States and there'll be some cool stuff to talk about and what you're up to there. So look, this week in NFT world was pretty mental. I actually went out for dinner for 2 hours on one of these days, and it felt like all of these things have happened in those 2 hours. So naturally, it's not easy to synthesize everything into one episode of our program. But sometimes all the things happen at once. And in this case, today we're going to talk a little bit about Minecraft banning NFT integrations, which is a huge decision by a company which is basically owned by Microsoft and had big implications for one NFT project in particular who was trying to build in Minecraft. We're also going to talk about a very big NFT character, influencer, person, investor, Franklin, who lost 100 ETH in a very dangerous game he was playing by supposedly putting out a joke bid, which is not something we recommend. And we're going to dive into that as to how it is possible to lose $150,000 very, very quickly. We're also going to look at the Moonbirds reveal and some of the merch they dropped and the community response to that, which has not been very good as far as the floor price is concerned. And we're also going to look at Nickelodeon launching an NFT collection, which they did in a pretty interesting way. So a lot of stuff to talk about. And where do you want to start today, Legendary?
Let's start with the big elephant in the room. Let's start with Minecraft.
Yeah. Okay. So Minecraft, this was a pretty big decision, right? It was led by Microsoft, and they decided that, well, this is the quote from them. They said NFTs are not inclusive of all of our community and create a scenario of the have and the have-nots, and that the speculative pricing and investment mentality around NFTs takes the focus away from playing the game and encourages profiteering, which we think is inconsistent with the long-term joy and success of our players. So as such, Minecraft decided that they do not want any sort of NFT integrations into their game, which is obviously hugely popular amongst mostly young people, I understand, but also others. And that sent the NFT Worlds project crashing down. I think they were trading as high as like 10 ETH at one point earlier in the year, but more recently it was very kind of steady at around 3 or 4, and they have crashed down to under 1, and now it's kind of recovered to just over 1. And naturally, there's lots of people who are very upset about that. And the way that NFT Worlds responded was by saying, look, this is a battle between Web 2 versus Web 3. You know, this is an old Web 2 giant like Microsoft trying to flex their muscles, saying that we can't build in their world. We believe in a more open vision where everyone can share in the value, the creation and the value. And this is a battle we're going to fight. And their response is that, well, we're going to build our own version of this, which will not be copying Minecraft because then they might sue us. But similar experience to that, but we're going to build it ourselves and let everyone participate in the value creation. So very interesting decision making from both sets of people, actually. So let's start with the Minecraft decision. What did you think about that in particular?
I was honestly a bit surprised to read the way that it was stated, that they think NFTs aren't inclusive and that they create like the massive amount of speculation, and that it seemed like to be a very strong sentiment against NFTs in general, and not be like framed more. They don't like the speculative nature of NFTs as the market treats it right now, but they do like the idea of, you know, ownership in a digital space, because you have to think about, you know, Minecraft. And I looked the numbers up. They amassed like more than 140 million people in the last 11 years that they've been around. So it is the most massive brand that could host a metaverse, or at least, you know, what we understand by the term of metaverse. So it was kind of surprising to see that they take like such a strong opinion in this case. I do understand it in general. I mean, Microsoft's a company, Minecraft being their brand, they obviously want to protect it. And I would have expected the move to be more like, we don't want others to build NFTs into our brand. We want to do that ourselves, which would totally make sense from a company perspective. But I was like, as I said, a bit taken back by how strongly that statement was worded against NFTs per se.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does sort of make sense that they would be reluctant to allow suddenly just a bunch of other people to monetize all of the NFT potential in their world, right? Like, as you said, they've been building their brand out and their world out for a very, very long time. Why would it be the case that some new people can come and utilize all of their ecosystem and their infrastructure and take all of the profits from that?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, if I would go to my local Louis Vuitton store and I would just try to buy a massive piece of their inventory, sell it as NFTs, and portray myself as being a luxury brand, and then, you know, be like surprised that Louis Vuitton doesn't like my approach in doing that.
Yeah, or it's like turning up in their store and then selling something adjacent to their brand, but in their store. It's like, well, hang on a minute, you're in their store. You're going to have to pay the landlord, right?
Yeah. That's another analogy that works well.
Yeah, and I think some of these points are very real in the sense that, well, in one, I think the thing I disagree most with in their statement was that this idea of like fake scarcity. It's like the scarcity thing already exists in games. People obviously want the rarer thing, whether it's an NFT or it isn't. And that exists in the real world. It exists in digital world. Like scarcity and rarity and something being more desirable than something else is just an obvious element of the world, whether physical or digital. So I definitely don't agree with that element. But I would be far more on board with their strand of criticism, which is, some third-party NFTs may not be reliable and may end up costing players who buy them. And yeah, they want some oversight as to who is going to build in their world potentially.
Yeah, and I agree with your take on the artificial scarcity, especially as if, you know, it's something that Minecraft has already experienced with. Like, I remember when we met in Lisbon, I went to a Lacoste store because at that time the Minecraft Lacoste collection hit the stores, and I wanted to buy like a specific Lacoste Minecraft shirt, and it was sold out. And I was like, okay, what about other stores or online? It was sold out, sold out, sold out. High demand, low supply, artificial scarcity. Probably, I don't know, I didn't look at the secondary prices. I could see it trading higher on the secondary market. And on top of it being a physical product. So, like, as you said, artificial scarcity has always been a part of actually human nature, you know, since millennia, really. When we started trading pearls because they were like so rare. Because we didn't have the capacity to, you know, grow artificial pearls or just find more. So I don't agree with the artificial scarcity take. But I don't know, like I still could see Microsoft, you know, leveraging the Minecraft brand in the future to build with blockchain technology.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. That scarcity point is junk. But interestingly, the very last thing that they say in this statement is, we have no plans of implementing blockchain technology into Minecraft right now.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me how, when a football player or any sports person wants to leave a club, and it becomes increasingly obvious that they're not going to stay at the club, and then the club puts out a statement to say, this player will not be leaving the club. And as soon as they do that, it's like, this player is definitely leaving the club. It's just, and you get the sense, look, they're saying, people can say things now and come out with strong wording now because it's on brand to say something now, but they're not in any way tied to this message, right? Like, this can be their message for now, but as they say, we have no plans of implementing blockchain technology into Minecraft right now. In 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, when perception has changed, when it's established itself more, when security is better, when the PR around it is better, when maybe even they've understood it better, they will be able to say, yep, we're ready now. We've got all the guardrails in place to keep all of our users safe. And now we do like the idea. It's amazing. It's the best thing in the world. Now we can make loads of money off it. Win-win for everyone.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to spin a positive narrative around it and be like, we created an inclusive solution to NFTs that is really secure for our users to, you know, deal with, etc.
Interestingly, it definitely won't deal with the digital scarcity element, though. So they'll have to just let that be and ignore that, because that's just one of the dilemmas of private ownership, in a sense, and the things that people desire. So that's an insolvable problem. But okay, so that was the Minecraft argument. What did you think of the NFT World response? So they, at a very high level, essentially decided to frame this as a battle between Web 2 and Web 3, and that they are going to go ahead and try to create a new game and platform based on many of the core mechanics of Minecraft, but with the modernization and active development Minecraft has been missing. And they're saying, obviously, they're not going to rewrite the Minecraft, they're not creating a clone because that would be illegal. But they will create something, I suspect, of a very similar experience, just with NFTs and blockchain integrated into it. What do you think of this proposition?
Being 100% honest, and I don't mean to be like offensive in any way, it seems like the NFT Worlds team was surprised by that and tries to portray it as you just read, as a Web 2 versus Web 3 battle, which I really don't think it is. It is you are using someone else's brand and they don't like that, which is a risk that you obviously have if you're building on someone else's foundation. And of course, they have to come up with an alternative, which is building their own game, which probably if I were to be running a project like NFT Worlds, I would have started to do long ago to protect myself against the potential risk and downside of Minecraft being like, nope, we don't want NFTs anymore. But then again, and this is something that other companies already did, right? This is something that Sandbox does, that they try to achieve with their game. This is something that Blankos also do, that also have like a world building element to it. So I don't really see the Web 2 versus Web 3 battle. I do understand why they try to spin that, narrative and try to have the community rally around them and be like, yeah, we have to stand together united against the powerful, big, evil corporate Web 2 giant. But that's not the opinion that I share, and that's not the picture that I see here.
What do you think it would have been better for them to do, in the sense that, look, this was probably always going to be inevitable, in the sense that it is very unlikely that a huge corporate giant is going to let you build on top of or inside of their platform rent-free. So it was probably inevitable that this was going to happen. Is it better that they kind of did what they did, get banned, and sort of get the publicity around that to launch this new game and world that they want to try to build? Or would it have been better to know this was happening and just try to build separately? I've got a feeling this is the better way. Like, in a way, is there any chance that being banned and getting some user share from the Minecraft element is probably good for them?
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, but even in that case, you still could have anticipated that to some extent and prepare for that and started building in the background, way before that. And maybe they have been doing that. I don't know. Not familiar with anyone in the team personally, so I don't know. Maybe they've been expecting that and they are just trying to portray it a bit, differently to, create that strong community sentiment. And they've already been building something new in the background for the last couple of months. Could be the case. I don't know, because I'm not intimately familiar with NFT Worlds as a project. But the approach, to try to use the Minecraft ecosystem and get your share of the 140 million players and then move to your own game is certainly a good way to do it. And they were successful. Like, if you look at Sandbox has amazing sales, amazing funding, amazing marketing, but they still lack a user base. And I don't know their exact user numbers, but NFT Worlds, on the other hand, the users were like in the 10,000s, which is massive for the NFT space. It's really, really big. And I don't think that Sandbox, I don't know, but I don't think that Sandbox reached that levels when they, first shipped the beta. And it always felt like pretty empty to walk around there. So technically speaking, the approach was right, I would say. Probably they could have, prepared better for that situation and anticipated better.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately this is well, yeah, they're in a difficult situation. It's probably quite helpful that they've got some user base, because that seems to be one of the hardest things to attract. So that's probably a net positive. And now they just need to turn that sentiment and community into, kind of rally them in order to get this new product off the ground now. But it's obviously a significantly bigger task to take on building the whole world yourself, as opposed to building integrations into someone's pre-existing framework. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. Moving on to the second piece of news in NFT world this week, this classic tweet from Franklin, which was, and I've got to say, I did laugh when I read it, mainly because of the punctuation. It just seemed to be so nonchalant, the way the guy lost $150,000, and it was just very hilariously worded and structured. He said, "Oh no, I lost 100 ETH. I was celebrating my joke of a domain sale, sharing the spoils, but in a dream of greed, forgot to cancel my own bid of 100 ETH to buy it back. This will be the joke and bag fumble of the century. I deserve all of the jokes and criticism. Full stop." That was it. And I think just literally the way he worded it made me laugh. It's impossible not to laugh at it. But then you do think a little bit, okay, I did feel bad for the guy because he lost 100 ETH. But then I started to think, well, why did you lose 100 ETH, man? Why did you, what do you mean a joke bid? So can you, just for people who don't really understand what happened here, because it's not super clear from that, what actually happened that made him lose 100 ETH, and how can people not do this?
Well, actually, Franklin bid 100 ETH on one of his own ENS domains. That apparently got some exposure on OpenSea and led to someone else bidding, what was it, 1.9 ETH on the domain that had the 100 ETH bid on it. And Franklin happily accepted the 1.9 ETH offer, but basically forgot to cancel his own 100 ETH offer on the domain first. So domain got sold for 1.9 ETH, and the first thing the buyer did was accepting Franklin's offer and selling it back to him basically for 100 ETH and making a good net profit.
Okay, so there's two ways I can see that you cannot lose 100 ETH. One is you don't have 100 ETH, in that just don't put 100 ETH somewhere in one place. B, you could not bid 100 ETH on anything because you might not think anything's worth it. And three things. The third thing is don't bid 100 ETH on something as a joke. And I think the word joke here is not really a joke, right? It's not a joke to bid 100 ETH, because no one's really laughing at 100 ETH bid, I don't think. Well, actually, I don't know. What was the ENS name?
Actually, I don't know right now.
Do you have a quick look?
Let's see.
I think, because the issue here is, as I think what some people tried to do, and I don't know if this is 100% the case, but naturally the fact that many of us can have, well, anyone can have multiple wallets, you can create the illusion of demand, right? By making things have very, very high bids on your own assets. So all you need to do is have your money in one wallet, bid on an NFT in another wallet, and then it looks like, oh, some people really want this NFT because there are loads of bids on it, but they'll never get accepted because it's your wallet, right? So is this really a joke bid, or was this an attempt to essentially deceive other people into thinking that there was demand? Do we know this?
He issued a statement on that, and he said, "I'm sorry for the market manipulation I did in the ENS marketplace, especially with my ENS domain yesterday. Hopefully I paid enough restitution. I'm sorry for letting you down. My BYC trading habits aren't market manipulation, but I'm sorry if that hurts the community, was what Franklin said on that.
Interesting. Okay, so essentially that's an admission that this is not a joke bid, right? A joke would be, well, I don't know why people think bidding, maybe if it's a funny NS. Did you manage to find it?
Stop doing fake bids. It's honestly lame, my guy. .eth.
That is the
That's
ENS.
the part of the joke, yeah.
What?
Makes the joke more hilarious.
So he lost 100 ETH on, sorry, say it again, slowly.
Mm-hmm. Stop doing fake bids. It's honestly lame, my guy. .eth.
Okay. So okay, so the way I would phrase it is like, this is a joke ENS, but it's not a joke bid. Yeah. It's a joke ENS. You put a bid in on the joke ENS, not as a joke, as a way to try to deceive people into thinking that it was worth, or that there was demand for it when there wasn't. And someone bid something for it, and you got screwed on the back end because you forgot to cancel your deceptive bid. Is deceptive too strong, do you think?
Probably a bit too strong. I don't know. Like I could see, arguments made on both sides.
I could see how
as a funny joke, playing a stupid game, playing a stupid price, but also trying to see if there's a trade to be made there. If you make the joke, put like such a massive offer, and just out of the curiosity to see if someone would follow and be, kind of baited by that 100 ETH offer and put in a 1.9 ETH offer. Like in reality, we'll never know. Like if Franklin would have accepted the offer as he did, but did cancel his 100 ETH offer previously to that, if he then, would have returned the money, kept the 2 ETH profit. So we don't know how it would have played out, but I could see both arguments basically being made there.
Yeah, I can't really see it. The only thing I could see is that someone would literally read the ENS name domain, which was whatever you just said, just something so ludicrous, and should in their own heads think this is so stupid that no one would seriously bid this amount of money on it. I could see that argument where it's like, okay, well, this you should know that it's not a joke bid, it's a fake bid, and therefore don't bid on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not now that
he by the way listed the domain for sale again. It's up for grabs for 25 ETH. So you can get it at a discount now.
Maybe I'll put some joke bids on it.
Yeah, but Franklin is trading so much. Like when you asked me to, go find the domain name, and this was 2 days ago, I had like to scroll so much in his ENS, in his OpenSea activity to go through all the collection offers, Bored Ape, transfers, etc. It's quite incredibly active in trading the Bored Apes. Like I only see what he does on Twitter when he summarizes, his trades, but I never actually took the time to look through his OpenSea activity, and it's insanely active.
Well, he's a real trader, to be fair to him. Like, look, I'm not 100% certain of this activity that he's up to, and it does seem like he issued an apology about doing this. But one thing I do like about him is that he's a real trader. Like he seems to love the trade. Like he will trade anything, and often with very strange reward dynamics. It's like, okay, well, I'll pay $1,000 in order to flip it for $25, and just loves the trade. So I kind of appreciate him just from that perspective, where lots of other people might 100%. Say, oh, it's not worth it, or, and especially from someone who has clearly done well in the space. I think it's almost nice to see someone who just absolutely loves the trading element. So respect to him for that at a minimum.
absolutely agree with that take.
Okay, so the next thing we wanted to chat about was the Moonbirds oddities reveal and the next set of merch which came along with the silver nesting. So for people who are unaware, the Moonbirds oddities were not a companion drop to the Moonbirds, but they were like a fun side project done by Gremplin, which was airdropped to all Moonbirds holders, and they revealed during the course of last week to fairly lukewarm reception. Some people loved it, some people did not love it, and the price seemed to decrease quite significantly on reveal. The Moonbirds team suggested that maybe they could have done things differently, in the sense that they should have communicated more as to what the utility was of the oddities, and in addition, maybe they shouldn't have tied rarities. So what happened was the rarities of the oddities would actually be replicated from some of the rarities of the Moonbirds themselves. And yeah, that was something that happened, which I didn't really mind because I'd kind of sold my oddity, but I can see how one of my big takeaways from this was that I'm getting a bit tired of teams pretending like they don't know that they should give people more information, because in my view, people are simply feigning ignorance and pretending like they should provide more information, or that they didn't know that they should provide more information, so that people speculate wildly, driving huge amounts of secondary sales and revenue into their coffers, which to me is becoming fairly transparent, but people seem to just keep accepting it from various projects. What do you think about that?
It's really the only thing I have to say on that is to share exactly your opinion in the sense that you cannot be like the, NFT project number 5,000, play the game by the same playbook and be like, oh, I'm surprised that, people are disappointed, blah, 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 because they didn't have all of the information. We just didn't expect that to happen. But apparently it seems like, NFT projects always get a couple new collectors, and that's the game that's being played. It is getting a bit annoying. I'm always of the opinion and of the mind that, transparency, honest, open communication, especially in the Web3 space, should be the most important thing and of highest value. I do understand that it's easier to build hype without that and playing with the unknown. But with that being said, it is getting a bit annoyed to see that pattern repeating over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we were talking about off air, right, is that NFT projects, and this is something investors, collectors, everyone needs to really, really consider very, very carefully, which is NFT projects are actually incentivized for you to not want to hold the token, because once the tokens are out there, they can either raise more money from you by dropping more tokens or increasing the likelihood of you to be willing to sell the token. So ideally that would happen by the price rising, and they create more secondary revenues for themselves as the price rises. But as their project decreases in desirability as well, they make money on the way down. And this is a very different incentive structure to normal projects or normal products, where you want your customers to be happy and to want to hold your token and not sell. Whereas we seem to operate in this sphere in constant hype cycles, which create both hype cycles on the way up and hype cycles on the way down, and NFT projects profit on both sides of that curve.
Yeah, secondary royalties are amazing. They're a fascinating thing to, reward artists, reward creators when they build something sustainable on the one hand. On the other hand, they're like one of the most bizarre incentive systems I've ever seen. Like going back to NFT Worlds for just a quick moment and thinking about the situation, you said floor price was around 3 to 4 ETH, and then it went down. So basically, if I don't know, say it's at 4 ETH, it dumps, I try to get out of 2 ETH, I sell it, they rake in 9.5%, so they almost make 0.2 ETH and like about around $300 on my individual sell, selling the NFT world because I'm scared that it goes to zero. And like making money all the way down and quite a significant and substantial amount of money is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think the whole space has fully grasped yet in terms of an incentive structure of how to really grapple with, look, what are the implications of this for projects and the way that they communicate with people? It's something which has huge implications, and I don't think we've fully grasped it. Look, we're running out of time today. I want to do two more things. One, I just want to say I don't understand why the Moonbirds Oddity Silver Lesting reward was a fanny pack and socks. I'm just going to put that out there. Socks, yeah. To be fair, I don't mind receiving some socks. To be fair, I haven't received my hat yet, so that was the problem. But the fanny pack thing, I don't get it. And sometimes I'm starting to wonder: are these people project founders who are exceptionally wealthy and doing various things successfully, operating in a completely different world to normal people? Like they're coming up with these ideas, and what's the chance that they're aligned with you as a, I mean, maybe none of us are normal people anymore. We're all slightly crackpots for trading NFTs and operating in this world. But, you know, are they aligned with the average human being? Like, is that a crazy idea that I'm having? Or maybe we're all crazy anyway.
We are all crazy anyway. I feel like it's a particularly critical episode that we are recording today.
I've woken up out of the wrong side of the bed, so I'm just going to say the things.
And the second thing you wanted to add?
Yeah. So, and then you were going to explain a little bit about the Nickelodeon launch, which I think is a cool, an example of a existing historical IP which entered in a slightly more thoughtful way.
Yeah. So basically, it was based on the recur passes. Recur passes are, they say, minting the world's biggest names in film, TV, and sports that grant you access to those mints. They have IP like Hello Kitty, Star Trek, sports IP like the Louisiana State University, University of Michigan, and quite some more. And one of the drops was the Nickelodeon drop of Rugrats and Hey Arnold. And it was like quite cool to see that they made a very sensible price at $50, making it very accessible for everyone. That they came up with a mechanism to decrease the supply, where basically it can turn your NFTs into slime and then I think redeem them for rarer NFTs. So you do see a traditional brand that took the time to understand, you know, how the space works a bit and structure a drop that's not gonna alienate anyone who is, you know, Web3 NFT native, and they are just gonna see it as a drop, how they are used, you know, that a drop should work, and with the added benefit, it is a solid existing IP, and it came at a very, very accessible price point at $50. I think it went up to like all the way to 0.4 ETH, and now it's trading at around 0.11 ETH, which still is, ETH is still at 1500, so it's still a 3x basically.
Yeah.
But I also heard the sentiment, and I kind of share the same, that I also have a couple of recur passes, and I'm rather gonna wait on other drops and other characters. I'm gonna wait on probably the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Godfather, and to see what they're gonna do with college sports. It's gonna be more up my alley, to be honest.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So is that pass going to get you a mint pass, so you'll be able to get access to those collections first?
Yes, but with that being said, there's like 70k passes, and the collection sizes are gonna be smaller than that. So we'll have to see how it's gonna play out in future drops.
Interesting. Well, It's interesting to see some of the traditional IP come across in a more thoughtful way and in a more realistic way as well. Because look, the demand will be higher. We need to scale it out, and in the end, yeah, there might not be a 10x opportunity on every damn thing that we do in the space. And sometimes it's just like, look, we want to sell a digital avatar to someone who wants one. So, okay, that's pretty interesting, and we'll see how they get along with those additional sets of IP too. All good. Legendary. Good
All good.
episode. Very
Very
enjoyable to
critical
discuss with
episode.
you. Very critical, very enjoyable. Next week, we'll balance it out with some positivity and also some criticism as well.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it.
All good.